Did you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at We Be Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference. I'm so excited to have my friend and voice actress, Dalia Ramahi, as my guest. We'll get to her in just a second, but first let's talk about Conversations That Make a Difference being heard on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. We are live every first and third Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. And you can listen to the call on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. and every Tuesday afternoon at 5 p.m. You can even find Dream Vision 7 on Alexa. Just ask her to play it for you. You know, we start always with a prayer, so I'm going to open up with the Serenity Prayer before we get started, before I introduce my beautiful guest. And we'll start with, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And it is by God's grace that we are fabulous, blessed, and highly favored, living in our greatness with passion and purpose, using our gifts and talents to make a difference in the lives of others. And all of God's great universe is conspiring in our favor. And together we gratefully say, Amen. So let me get to introduce Dalia. She is, Dalia Ramahi, that is a professionally trained actress, voice artist, writer, and teacher. She's bilingual in English and Arabic. And although she lives in Washington, D.C., her voice can be heard internationally. Dalia loves telling stories, and getting into different characters is definitely her jam. Her vision is to create joy with every project she voices and to share that joy with joy to the world. Dalia's goal is to tell your story and relay your message so that your intended audience is engaged and takes action. She taught ESL, which is English as a second language, drama and theater to middle and high school students. Dalia has also been a librarian for a short time and realized the positive impact that good storytelling can have. When asked what drives her, Dalia, who is also known as the Joy Advocate, says, I'm a huge advocate of learning, professional development, personal development, and growth. My vision is to live joyfully every day and inspire others to find their everyday joy too. You can hear Dalia's fantastic voice as characters in video games, animation, K-12 education pieces, audiobooks, mobile apps, and more. And you can learn more about this beautiful woman at Dalia, D-A-L-I-A, Ramahi, R-A-M-A-H-I.com. Dalia, welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh, it's so embarrassing hearing you introduce me like that, but I love it. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Drop your camera down a little bit so we can see the top of your head.
Oh, there
we go. Yes, beautiful. Okay.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
You're so welcome. I'm excited to have you here. So we titled this Conversations That Make a Difference, Following Your Dreams. Now, I know that when I first met you, you were not doing the work that you're doing now to the extent that you're doing it now, but this was what you talked about all the time. So tell me and tell our audience what it takes for you to actually get into a place where you can actually live your dream. Dalia, you're a walking, talking testimony to that statement.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, like when we first met, I was definitely in a transition period in my life, and I wanted to go all in, but I was scared. And for so much of my life, I let fear dictate the decisions that I made.
Mhm.
And you know, it's that whole idea of being comfortable and the what ifs, what if something happens, what if something goes wrong? And, you know, I lived in that state of mind for a very long time, and it gets exhausting. And I think a lot of people can relate, like living that way is exhausting. And when that's at the time I met you, I was like fed up. I was at the point where, man, I want to see progress. I want to move forward in pursuit of voice acting. I want to go all in, but this constantly tiptoeing around it and holding back was like draining me. And I know, and also at that time, there was like a lot of healing that I needed to do, a lot of self-discovery that needed to happen. And I think that what it took for me was to find my true voice. And I don't mean like the sound of my voice or anything like that. I just meant what makes me me. And when I started understanding who I was and accepting who I was and being okay with the version of me at any point in time, regardless of like what's going on, I was able to let go of a lot of those fears and that that I don't know what the word is, maybe like timidness, whatever you want to call it, you know? So, I mean, I know that there are some people who go all in and they might fall flat on their face or burn out or whatever, but I'm a very slow going kind of person. You know, I go at a turtle's pace in my life. And I'm okay with that. Like I had to learn that I'm okay with that. I can't compare my journey to anybody else's. So basically, you know, just to answer your question, what it took was for me to become familiar with who I am, what is important to me, what my values were, and then start living in alignment with those values, like being really, really in alignment, not knowing them up here, but being like so committed to them in here that it didn't matter what direction I was going in. I had a vision because I knew who I was at that point. Like there was something to anchor me.
Yeah. You said some really good stuff right there, girl. You just gave us so much information. So yes, you were apprehensive to get started. There's always that the what if conversation. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've learned this myself. The what if conversation is fruitless. It only keeps you stuck, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
What if this happens? What if that happens? What if, and it only creates worry, and it creates all this drama in our minds of things that may never happen. So it's not even worth wasting your energy, your time, your thought process on any of that stuff.
And it keeps you playing small. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, keeps you playing small. Exactly. But you said a couple of things. You had to get in touch with who you really are and what your values are, and then you have to live in alignment with those values. So let's talk a little bit about that kind of process. What did you do differently that got you in touch with who Dalia is, that you hadn't done before you stepped into this space?
Okay, so before, you know, when we don't know who we are, we feel really lost and like in a dark place and stuff. And um I tried doing the whole positive thinking, and I just got to think positive thoughts all the time and never a thing, you know, like like we all start off that way, right? Like not a single negative thought. Oh no, I suck because I had a negative thought. It's not sustainable. And so what I realized is that I needed help. I needed help with my process. And so I reached out. And when you so just like quickly, when you decide on a course of action, when you decide to do something and you just making the intention, you find that life opens up for you in wonderful ways that help that intention to manifest for you. And so I was like, okay, I need help with my mindset. I need help with like, you know, just organizing my life and figuring out what I need to do. So I worked with a life coach, and that led to a life coaching program. And then that led to another coach. And so like little by little, and I don't think that you only get to work with one coach. You have to try different coaches, and every coach offers different, you know, perspectives, and you can take like glean different things from. And so that's what happened. Look, so little by little, I started accumulating different pieces of knowledge and like little and gaining wisdom about myself through this process of working with coaches, and that really helped me figure out who I am. And it's not like coaches have some magical thing that they just wave at you and be like, ta ta do this ABC and you're done. You got to do the work. Like
Exactly.
you're always having to choose to do the work, and the work doesn't stop when your coaching package or whatever you want to call it ends. So I just really committed to doing the work of self-improvement and just leveling up my mindset.
And I think that's really important. A lot of people, and I can say back in the day, there were times when I was like, oh, I have a coach, and well, the coach doesn't work for you. The coach works with you, and you have to do the work that's necessary, because your life is your life. It's not the coach's life. And so, what you said is really, there's no magic wand. You have to do the work. You got to do the work. Yeah.
And it's baby steps, right? And you're not going to learn everything you need to know about yourself in one shot.
Exactly.
I've been on this journey for over a decade, longer. It's a long process, but if you just approach it as just like, little bit, I just discovered something new about me. So how can I make it work for me if I don't like it? Or how can I turn it around or just change my thinking about this? You know what I mean? So
and I think we all go through this kind of like self-discovery at some point in our lives. The one thing that always has to be present, though, is the dream, right?
Yeah.
Has to always be present, because if you don't have that, what are you chasing? What are you changing for? What do you have to have that present in every circumstance. You talked about values. You had to figure out what your values are and live in alignment with those values. What kind of things can you say to the people who are listening that you learned about yourself, and how did you come to discover those particular values? Was there I'm sure the coach was involved, but what was it that it took for you to do as you were at that moment, that made it different, that this time you were going to be able to figure this out?
Okay. I don't know if this sounds like weird or silly, but and I don't know if I can call this like a value, but or like a belief, right? Is that at my core, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And I know that just seems like it might be obvious or whatever, but when you spend a lifetime beating yourself up over everything and being so harsh with yourself, unforgiving of yourself, of all the mistakes that you made or of that other people have made, or just thinking the worst of yourself, you start to think that maybe you're a bad person or whatever. So at my core, I accepted that I'm a good person. And so my version as a good person, how do I want to live my life? And I knew that it was, just I'm a naturally like happy person, which I'm grateful for. So like, I have a more, I guess, cheery or optimistic disposition, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm like, so I'm okay being that person, because, growing up or even as an adult, I was always like, you're too excited. You get too like excitable over things, and like the silliest thing, like make you go crazy, like with and I'm like, okay. And so for a while, I used to think, for example, that was a bad thing because it was like uncool, and I needed to like chill and like be like more like, like on the whatever about stuff. But I'm like, but that's not me. That's not me. And so I tried approaching my voiceover career in that other way. Like, okay, I'll be chill about it. I'll be cool. I'll be like calm, but that's not who I was. And so when I just decided to embrace who I was and just live life through joy, then that was like I think that's my biggest value, is that everything that I get to do gets to be fun, gets to be exciting. And I don't care what it is. So that's how I started to tap into what was important to me and how I figured out who I was. And like another value for me, and it's like a core value, is that I don't want to hurt people, and I know that's like a thing that a lot of people but it's I don't like hurting people. And so every word that I say, I want it to be something positive, something that's uplifting. And if I am speaking my truth, I know that it's coming from a good place. Like I would never be like one of those, oh, I'm just gonna tell it like it is, and like, bitch mode, whatever people think is like tough. It like that doesn't work for me. So
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can get into character when you have to with
Oh
that.
yeah,
Right?
well, characters, yeah, for sure. Just a funny like tangent. I remember once I was doing a voiceover class, and it was for promos, and I remember the promo that I had was for like the ID channel, like some like murder show, and like real murders, right? And I said it, and then I remember the coach was like, "Oh my God, you sound way too happy and nice about this gruesome murder." And I'm like, yeah, okay, I gotta check myself, because the natural way of speaking isn't gonna work. So I gotta, you know what I mean, check that. But anyway, yeah.
How much of a challenge is it to get into these different voice, these different roles, if you will? I remember I have a friend who is an actress, and I was watching a movie that she was in, and she was playing this really like nasty mother-in-law on the show. And I just know this person. She's sweet and she's kind. And I called her up and I said, I'm watching you in this movie and I'm having a really hard time because this is just not who you are. And she goes, yeah, but it's so much fun to play.
It is so fun, especially when you play the opposite of who you are.
Yeah.
So when I first started acting, getting into character was more challenging.
Yeah.
Just like we're clear, because voice acting is not about the voice, it's all about acting, right? And that you have the added challenge of nobody seeing you. And so the last thing you want to worry about is how pretty you sound, because like not all characters sound pretty. And like if a person is like angry or bitchy or whatever, the last thing they're thinking about is how pretty they sound. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like getting into characters was challenging at first, but it's so fun. And I see it as a challenge. Like there are some like character archetypes that I find like take me like a little longer to get into that place. I can do it because I'm amazing as an actress. No, I'm just kidding, but I am. But anyway, it just takes a little bit more time for some roles. But playing your opposite is definitely the most fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
And that's a rule I live by.
Yeah.
So
like if I always say, like, if I'm ever to the point where I'm no longer inspired by voice acting and it just doesn't light me up in the same way anymore. And I'm not talking about like having 1 or 2 bad days here or there, or like an off week or month, but like genuine, it's like consistent day in, day out. Then that's my cue to like shift in another direction. And talk about following our dreams. Having that dream, like you said earlier, is important, because that's what lights that fire for you. And if you have the dream, there's something you're looking at, something that nobody else can see. And as long as you can see it, and the more clear you can see it, the more real it becomes for you. Just take the step, even if it's a baby step, to go pursue it. But like when I first started, I was really afraid to pursue this because speaking up and using my voice wasn't something I was used to. And I know I'm a like reformed or reforming people pleaser. Like that was always one of my tendencies, is people pleasing. And, I never wanted to say anything that was like controversial. And till this day, I still struggle with that. But, like when you're acting, even, you have to have a point of view. You have to have something that you're trying to communicate. And it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. And so when I started getting into acting, I realized, I can take this for every area of my life, not just in voiceover or in acting. Like have a point of view and follow that through. It doesn't need to be right or wrong to anybody else. Just you have what you're looking at and just go in that direction.
Exactly. And you have to keep going in the direction of your dreams. Otherwise they fall by the wayside, right?
Yeah.
They say, I remember, I don't remember who said this initially, but what you think about, you bring about. What you give energy to grows. Where the energy goes, the
focus goes,
something
the
like
energy
that.
flow.
Yeah. Anyway, something like that. Look it up.
Yeah.
But it's true, and it's if everything is energy, and that's something that, that's a physics conversation, but it is also a conversation between people. I mean, you notice if you're being upbeat and happy, usually people around you will shift their energy to be upbeat and happy. If you're down in the dumps and you're crying, how many times have you ever been crying? I'm going to ask this question because this is about what we're talking about. How many times have you been crying and somebody comes along and they try to console you, and next thing you know, the two of you are crying?
Yeah. Energy, like it's infectious, and that's good energy and not so good energy, bad energy. But like it is infectious. And so I really think that, at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own thoughts, you're responsible for your own feelings. And just like, God bless her, Tasha. I love this woman. Just like, she always says, like, you decide what you think, you decide what your thoughts are. And I mean, you can give that power away, I guess. And your thoughts can be all about how other people see you and what they're saying about you. Or you can take charge and responsibility for your own thoughts and be like, oh, I don't like the way I'm thinking. I don't like these kind of thoughts. I'm going to choose my thoughts, because at the end of the day, you decide over your own mind. So
exactly. Yeah. Tasha, we're talking about Tasha Chen. So Tasha, if you
Tasha Batts,
shout out to you, girl.
Yeah.
When we come back, I'm going to ask you a question about how when you made the decision to go ahead and pursue this, because you made that decision, how your world opened up. So when we get back, we're going to have Dalia answer that question. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for listening to Conversations That Make a Difference.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavas, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. For over 40 years, Omega has seen more than 1 million people come through its doors to grow, learn, and find a greater sense of purpose. With over 350 workshops to choose from, Omega offers something for everyone. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
I love that. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow, right?
Yes.
So Dalia, when I met you, this was just it was a vision. It was a vision. Your life was, I mean, I know that you were doing a little bit of what you dreamed of, but it was not anywhere near the capacity it is now. So you know, going to what we think about, you bring about, and how once you stepped in, you know, I'm like the gratitude queen. Like everything has to be, you got to be grateful for the circumstances, grateful for the situations. When you have a heart of gratitude and you thank God, your creator, for everything that you have, it's like saying, okay, I'm so glad you like that. Let's see your reaction to this, and you get more. And it's so awesome. So talk about, if you wouldn't mind, how once you stepped into the arena of voice acting, how your life changed.
Oh, oh, okay. Look, I'm getting kind of emotional about it. Oh, gosh, it changed in so many wonderful ways. Like I told you, the first thing is that, you know, I had to dig deep to, like we already discussed previously, to figure out who I was. And because I was already doing that work, and I wanting to pursue this career full time, you know, I met so many incredible people. Uh, I got to go to amazing places. You know, I get to speak in different forums. You know, I get to share the things that light me up, which is this like these kinds of conversations. Like, you know, I get to talk to people like you. Like, it's amazing, you know. And yeah, the biggest thing is that what it freed me from was the anxiety and the fear that I used to have about, what am I going to do with my life? You know, I don't want to live in this bubble. I don't want to live in you know, what other people have decided for me, and then that's it, because it was making me really unhappy. You know, before I even pursued voice acting or teaching of any kind, I was in the corporate world. I used to work for a large company, a consulting company, and I was in finance. And before that, I did like stuff for economics, and like it was just like that work burnt me out. And like I will never forget, I remember getting an email, you know, celebrating my 10-year anniversary at this company. And for the first time in my life, I had a panic attack. Like, but it didn't hit me right away. It was that night when I got home, I had like a full-blown anxiety attack, and that was the first time I ever had that in my life. And I didn't understand. So I thought I was having a heart attack. So I took myself to the hospital. They told me, no, you're panicked. You're like, you have anxiety. And so what is, because not living in alignment started creating this anxiety in me, that it just hit me because I was so numbed out from my life before, and now I'm so tuned into my life that everything, it just brings me extra joy. Like, you know, I see like colors all the time, everywhere. And even if I'm having a bad day, man, it's still a pretty good day, even when I'm at my worst, because that's just how it feels when you're living in alignment and you're pursuing the life that makes you joyful.
Yeah. And once you get out of the what if conversation and the self-defeating conversations, it opens the door for you to walk closer to your dreams. And I have to tell you, how long do I know you now? What, about 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 5 years. And so it's just amazing to watch where you were and where you've come to and what you actually bring. I was wondering if you might, is there something that you're working on now that you can share about, or something that you've worked on in the past that maybe you can share a little bit of your skill with those of us who are watching?
What do you
A
mean, like shared,
character, one of
like
the
a
characters?
recording? Do you
One
want
of
me
the
to?
characters. Yeah. One of the characters.
Well, something that I'm really proud about this year, well, the stuff that I'm working on is under NDA, so I can't speak, like I can't talk about it. But like this year I got to record my first video game in a big video game, and that was so exciting. Okay, so just to back up before I share that, okay. When I met you, when I was trying to go into like, dabbling into voice, trying to figure out where I am in my voiceover career. And I was doing it all alone. And so another thing that opened up is that as I started living in alignment, I started meeting other amazing people in my industry and forming connections. And I realized that I can't lone wolf it. And so I need to reach out to others. But this character work and acting, I mean, I've been doing it since I was like a kid. I was in plays and whatever, but character work for voices, I kind of just like put off to the side, and I was really nervous to pursue because I'm like, oh, what if I suck? The what ifs again, the what if conversations.
Yeah.
And so last year, doing like more self-development work, personal development, I realized, I'm done with those conversations. So when I set my intentions at the end of December, like this time last year, I was like, I'm going to do character work. I'm going to book a video game. I'm going to do children's work, like, children's entertainment. I'm going to do mobile game apps. And guess what? I did all of that. I got all of those roles, and that just lights me up because I realized that, you only stop yourself based on your own beliefs, nobody else's. Like if you take someone else's belief as yours, you make it. So anyway, so the point is, so this video game, I was like, I'm going to book a major video game and it's going to happen sometime in 2022. And it did in the summer. And so I'm really excited about it. Her name is Ishtar. The video game is called Smite. And I don't know if we can look it up on YouTube, but they have like, the cinematic trailer. So if you want to hear that, we can do that. But it's just, I love this role because also it's, as a Middle Eastern woman, as an Arab woman, it is, actually, I want to take that back. Swana, Southwest Asian and North African. That's the term that I have embraced. Yeah, Swana. So instead of just Middle Eastern or Mina, but this role represents her, like Ishtar is the goddess of love and war. And, she comes from that part of the world, right? She's a deity from that part of the world from ancient times. And so it was so awesome to be able to voice her as a Swana woman, as a Middle Eastern woman. So I really love that role and I'm super proud of it.
Now, is her voice your speaking voice, or did you go deep for a different?
No, I had to go a little deeper. What's funny is that also after I voiced Ishtar, I realized that I could go deeper with my voice than I previously thought. And so I started taking some singing and coaching lessons to try to keep that placement like more sustained. So yeah, I had to go deeper with her voice, but I loved it because I'm like, oh, she's so fiery and mature and warm, but also very fierce and aggressive. That's how she sounds. So
I would have so much fun doing that.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. See, and there's something else you said in there that that's really important. Just because you're doing the work that you want to do doesn't mean that you don't have to use the phrase, go deeper into what you can bring to the table, to the movie, to the video game, to whatever it is that you're voicing. You took voice lessons, you did a couple of other things to be able to hone your instrument, because your voice is your instrument, and your skills at doing it. So once you started living your dream, you didn't just like, all right, that's it. Yeah. No,
lifelong student. Remember, I love learning. And so lifelong student, you got to constantly be willing to learn. And I mean, you have to, because, trends are always changing too. Sounds are always changing. So, and that's just like on a shallow level, but you got to constantly want to learn, because that's how you elevate. That's how you grow. That's how you stretch yourself beyond your comfort zone. Yeah, absolutely.
For those of you who are listening and watching on YouTube, if you have a question for Dalia, you can just type it in the chat, and the producer will get the question to me, and I'll be happy to ask Dalia the question. But yeah, because this is an interactive show whenever we can. So I'd love to hear what the audience has to say. Who else out there wanted to be doing the kind of work that Dalia is doing today? Maybe you can get some tips from her. So
Oh, totally. Yeah.
that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be cool. So so what do you see? What is the biggest project that you see on your, what did you put on your vision board, or what are you going to put on your vision board for 2023 that you would like to do? What's the biggest project that you have in your brain right now?
Oh, okay. So I am feeling really ambitious for 2023, and I already wrote it all out. I just need to like lay it all out so I can see it, right? But in 2023, I really, so one thing that I don't have, it's not like the biggest project, but one thing that I really want to do is take all the voices in my head and create a reel. So because that we need that as voice actors, and that's something I still don't have, a character reel. So that's a big thing. But I also want to really work with companies like Netflix and Disney. And, you know, every time I get an audition for anything, I feel so lit up by it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a cool role. This is kind of the role that I want to play. So every time I get an audition for anything, regardless of who the client is, it feels like it's so in alignment, and I see it as evidence of things coming my way. So, I mean, I definitely want to do, like, I like anime. I love anime. So I want to do some anime dubs. I really want to do some live action dubbing for Netflix. So that's like my, like, you know, thing that's like lighting me up for 2023. But also video game roles. I want to play another lead role in like a game, or I want to like a mobile game app, or like an actual video game. I would love to do that. So I'm really focused on what I want to create, but there's also another track that I'm going in, because I still love the narration stuff that I do. So I still love the audiobooks that I do. I want to do more children's audiobooks. That really lights me up, and I really love that. So that's what I'm also going to be focused on, and my meditation stuff. I am determined to work with you, Calm. So let's work together. I know I'm not like one of those celebrities, but we got to work together, Calm. So Calm, yeah, the Calm app. I want to do a meditation with them.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, you can do that as well. So we have questions coming in. So you know what? Let's do one, and then we're going to have to take a break, and then we'll be back. Okay. So you said you stopped listening to the what if conversation. You stopped that conversation. How exactly do you do that?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, let me see if I can answer this in a focused way, not in a rambly way. Okay, so how do you stop the what if conversations? By listening to what your thoughts are, and being okay with that, and instead of, and not beating yourself up. And what I mean is, so every time, it was hard at first to pay attention to your thoughts, because you know your thoughts are happening in real time, and so as it's like a stream of consciousness sometimes, and so it can go a mile a minute. And so as I started focusing on how my thoughts made me feel in my body, I realized it's not even so much that I heard the thought that I had. It's just like I felt a discomfort in my body. So I started paying attention to my physical sensations. And I realized when I was feeling tight in my chest, or like a knot in my stomach, or just like, you know, I started like doing the shaking leg thing or whatever. Ooh, I'm probably uncomfortable about something. And so then it made me like, did I just think something? Did I just hear something? So it started making me pay attention to my internal surroundings and my external environment. And I'm like, where was that stimulation coming from? Was it? And then that's how I started to realize what my thoughts were. And I had so many what if thoughts. And then just by paying attention to that, it helped me get, release them, or not give them so much weight. The what ifs are always going to happen. They're always going to be there. I just don't give them any weight anymore. I'm like, oh, okay, I had a what if moment, whatever, we're done. It's gone. It's done.
Yeah. And that's, and I totally agree with that conversation, that answer that you gave. The what if is worry that is unnecessary. Yeah. That's the way I think about it. It's like, you know, if you stay in the conversation of what if, you're not going to be able to get past all the things that hold you back. and step into what could potentially be, as you learned,
Mhm.
a great future.
Yeah. Like one of the scariest things I did was quit my corporate job, because it was, I made a great salary. I had benefits. It was like I had security, I had seniority, I had a good position, like all that stuff, right? And so I remember, but I was so unhappy. And
Mhm.
it just, for me, it came to a point where the what ifs, the fear was completely drowned out by the unhappiness and the
Yeah,
anxiety of
yeah,
you know what it was for me? It was an emptiness.
yeah.
Like, I felt so empty inside. And that is what took for me to go down that road to make that change. For everybody, it's different, but I hit my breaking point,
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to hit up against that wall, break a little to wake you up, to jolt you out of the sleep
Exactly.
or the fog that you were living in.
Yeah, and many of us did it. I know I did it. I was in corporate America for years and years and unhappy just like you.
Yeah.
And then I made the decision that I was going to do it differently, and my life is completely different. And on that note, we have to go to another break. So we will be back in just a couple of minutes with Conversations That Make a Difference. And our guest, Dalia Ramahi, voice actress extraordinaire.
When you think about being healthy and happy, do you consider the 24 areas of your life? Probably not. With the All Things Wellness Wheel, you become self-empowered, allowing you to make healthier decisions about relationships, nutrition, sleep, exercise, stress, and even your value system. The All Things Wellness book series, written by Peggy Wilms and Dr. Marcus Bettstein, teaches about the ATW wheel and brings dozens of true and personal stories from real people. The first of these multi-author books, The Fourfold Formula, features the foreword written by the Celestine Prophecy author, James Redfield, and is now available on Amazon. Reserve your spot now to become a published author in Book 2, Win the Wellness War, We Are Responsible. Visit allthingswellness.com/author for more information.
In a world facing annihilation, a miraculous African nun rises to become the first female pope through a web of war, murder, and betrayal. Loved by some, hated by many, she becomes the deadly target of Islamic terrorists and her own cardinals as she introduces a new vision that will either save humanity or accelerate its destruction. 4 people must race against a nuclear holocaust to learn her astonishing secret. Pope Annalisa is available at petercanova.com, Amazon, and other online booksellers and bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of the Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Canavas. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're back with Dalia. So I want to let everybody know that there is going to be a book coming out before Christmas. It is called A Daily Gift of Gratitude. And Dalia has contributed a page to that book. So you can read her story about gratitude in A Daily Gift of Gratitude, which will be available on Amazon. Our goal is to get it up there by December the 15th. So you can still get that for Christmas for everybody. So I'm excited about that. And we have a lot of voices talking about gratitude, because it's so, that to me is really, there's a lot of power in being grateful. You know, your life changes. You look at life completely differently when you are in gratitude. You can't be anxious and in gratitude at the same time. You just can't. You physically cannot do it, mentally can't do it, emotionally. It's a lot easier and a lot better to be grateful than it is to be stuck in the what ifs, if you will. So I have another question from our audience.
Yay, okay.
So it says, so how do you get started? And is there a voiceover union or something where I guess maybe audiences, the voice actors are available in a certain place for people to look for them? Like
So, okay, so the first is, how do you get started in voiceover?
how do
And
you
is
get started with voiceover? And is there a union of some sort?
Yeah, I mean, we're part of the SAG-AFTRA union, the actors union, like, you know, the
The Screen Actors Guild, the SAG.
yeah,
Okay.
sorry, SAG-AFTRA, yeah. So and so we're part, like, I'm not part of the union right now, but that's like another thing that I want to aim for in 2023 is to be part of the union, because I really believe that unions have a role in American life, especially to protect workers. And so, like, they do so much to protect voice actors, especially. And I don't know, so I'm sure they have like a directory. I think they probably have a directory about where, but you know, all you got to do is look up your favorite shows. If you watch any kind of animation or documentaries or podcast, you know, like the intros, outros, the voiceovers are like everywhere. If there's a commercial that you love and you always hear this one type of voice or whatever, look up the commercial. The voice actors, you can find them that way. So, and you know, we're all over Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. So if you just like put a search for voice actors, you'll see like a gajillion. So
a gajillion. I love that.
Yeah,
That's a number.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So you can go follow me too if you want.
So if someone is to get started, would you recommend that would be the first thing to do, is find out where they are and how to follow in their footsteps, get to, how did you get started, Dalia? I mean, what did you do first in order to be able to step into this role of professional voice actress?
Okay, so that question, I get asked that a lot. And I know a lot of voice actors get asked that too. You're going to get a million different answers. Okay, there's so many great resources, first of all, online that will help you. And then I don't know if you have like a comment section, I could like send you the link, like send you links for like great, reliable resources of how to get started in voice acting. But the way I started was, I have a twin sister. I know that people who know me know that about me, but we're identical twins. And so when we were both, when we're still in the corporate world, we talked about one day, we're like, you know, we just like make our dream of being on The Simpsons a reality. Like, we thought we were cartoon characters back when we were little kids. And like, that was our dream, to always just grow up to be a cartoon character. When you're really small, you think that that's possible. And I really thought that I could somehow turn into a Simpsons character when I was in like 2nd and 3rd grade. And the joy of that dream never left me, even though life got me bogged down. And so when I was going through, you know, my crap at my company, I was like, you know what? My sister found like a adult learning class at my local, whatever here, like, you know, the local school or whatever, for intro to voice acting. I'm like, oh, let's go do it. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know. And this was like before Facebook groups and, you know, like social media, like connecting in that way was like a popular thing. So I just went to the class, and the lady's like, oh, you have a voice. for voiceover. And I'm like, let's do this then. So little did I know, like back then, that the school that I went through, they, even though like the coach that ended up working with me, she was really sweet and great, but like after a certain number of sessions, they're like, okay, go do your demo, your narration, your commercial demo. And I did it. I wasn't ready. And then that was it. I didn't know what to do with it. So I sat with this commercial and narration demo for like a couple of years, trying to figure out, what the hell am I supposed to do with this now? Who do I give it to? Like, where do I go? So that's how I got into it. And then, you know, when I think it was like in 2017, 2018, no, 2017 or 16, whatever, it doesn't matter. I found this voice actress who I was like, oh my God, I love her. I didn't realize the face with the name, but I knew the voice. And I'm like, oh my God, and she ran the school back then. And so I just emailed them and I started taking classes all over again. And I started learning properly how to run my voiceover career as a business, because that's what you need to do if you really want to make this a full-time gig, and your main focus is that you have to treat it like a business. So that is my very long answer and how I got started.
Well, but that's, that's good, because, I appreciate, yes, and send me the links, or you can, when the video of this goes up on YouTube, you can drop them in yourself. And
oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
you can drop them in there yourself, but send them to me in case anybody asks me for them. That would be awesome.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you have, you have to start somewhere, and maybe the school that you went to is not, in the beginning, was not the place. It was not the place to end. It was only the place to start.
Exactly. It whet my appetite. It got me on the road to voiceover. And for me, it's been a very long, bumpy road, because I had to overcome a lot of stuff up here in order to make it work. And, I have voiceover colleagues and people in my network who have been acting since they were in diapers, whatever. And so being voiceover actors is very natural to them. It comes to second nature, and they have amazing success, right? Everybody starts at and then I also see some really amazing voice actors who are doing amazing things in LA, and they started from the corporate world. They didn't start with the traditional acting on camera and then move into voice acting. So there's so many ways you can get into it. And what it took me all these years to figure out is that my way wasn't it wasn't inferior to anybody else's. I just needed to get out of my own way.
Yeah. And that's, I think with a lot of things, and following your dreams, the topic that we are staying with today, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who would like to be doing what you're doing. And that's why we went down that road, because at one point in time, I thought I was going to do something like that. And then, I get the opportunity to talk every couple of weeks on a show like this. And I love conversation. I love words. You know who I am. I don't have to tell you, and the audience knows who I am. And I show up and we have these great conversations. At the same time, that I will say that no matter what your dream is, I think the one key thing that you said, through the thread that has been running through this entire conversation, is keep going, keep learning, keep moving forward. And as you go, all the things that you think you would want to have eventually are going to come before you, as long as you stay focused.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't want to give the wrong impression that I am optimistic and positive sickeningly 24/7, because I'm not. Like, I'm a human and I have a lot of bad moments and breakdowns. Okay. I've just learned how to bounce back from them a lot more quickly than I used to before. Like I had my own little crying fit just like last week about, I was disappointed. Like, there was this audition that I just wanted to book with all my heart. I put my whole soul into the audition, and then I got through 2 rounds of callbacks. And then I find out from my agent that they're not going with me, and I could taste it. Like, I could taste the role right here. It was all right there. You know what I mean? And so it was like a blow. It was crushing. And, like I thought I had it, but there was just such a great reminder that nothing in life is guaranteed, that I let myself cry. I let myself be disappointed. I let myself be a little angry. I let myself basically feel whatever I needed to feel. I gave myself a time limit. Like, I'm not going to wallow, because the longer you let yourself stay in those feelings, the longer you have the opportunity for your thoughts to turn against you. And you start to spiral downward. It just becomes that much harder to get yourself back up when you fall.
Right. And I think the other thing that, and I know you know this, it's always going to be this or something better.
Yes.
Or when the this doesn't happen, know that somewhere along the line there's something better, and that the plan that is before you, the plan that is laid out before you, and your success will always be toward that something better. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's like my motto that I live by now. Like, for the last couple of years, anytime, nope, it's not a no. It's just a not now or something better. Like, that's what I tell myself. Like, I sometimes have to close my eyes and just imagine it. I'm like, okay, I didn't get the yes, but it's a not now. Okay, not now. There's still something that needs to happen before that happens, or something better is going to come along. But it's never going to be something worse, because I've already decided that every step I take is going to push me forward, because I've chosen to live in alignment with who I am. Exactly. And so when I'm not in alignment, you immediately feel it, because you don't feel good about yourself. Exactly. You start to get bogged down in those heavy, icky feelings. And then you start to see your external world reflect that. So
well, Dalia, your joy is palpable. We can feel it, we can hear it, we can see it. And you have been such an incredible guest. Would you believe our hour is over?
Oh, has it been an hour? Wow. Okay.
Yes, our hour is over. It's crazy. It's crazy. I want to thank you for being the guest on Conversations That Make a Difference today. Please keep bringing your joy into the world. And if you've learned nothing more from this conversation today, I would say the one thing that I'm taking away for this is keep dreaming, keep following that dream, keep positive with the joy in your heart that whatever your career that you would like to have is, to just be joyfully walking toward it, and know that there's always something better coming your way.
And always get up whenever you fall. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. Just make it a point to get up.
Exactly. And be grateful for the experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, we're gonna move on to the rest of our day. And thank you, Dalia, for being my guest on Conversations That Make a Difference. We will be back live on the 20th with a treat for Christmas. We'll see you next time.
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our producer Rachel and to our station owner Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.